Hello everyone and welcome to today's Ukraine update. In today's video we will be discussing the latest news going on in Ukraine. First off, let's move to Sevastopol, where you can see from this photo the Ukrainian Air Force attacked a Russian ship. This was a very I believe it was Russia's newest ship in Sevastopol. Very important ship, and the Ukrainians claim to have completely destroyed it. The Russians are saying it's damaged. But from the images that you're seeing and that we all seeing on the internet, it seems pretty badly damaged. It seems that it could have been destroyed. Obviously, the Russians are not going to admit that. Now, moving on to Kherson, the Ukrainians now, there's a photo, and you're seeing it right now, of Ukrainians supposedly sending armored vehicles into Kherson. Now, some people are saying this is an old photo, and there were some geolocations of Humvee being destroyed in this area. However, that could not be confirmed because it was very blurry. You really couldn't tell where it was. It was a Humvee, but you couldn't really tell where it was. However, the Ukrainians are making a very strong foothold in Kherson, and obviously they are all up to 300 men. According to pro-Russian reports, 300 men in Kherson, and now if this is the case where they are sending their armored fighting vehicles, this points to a large-scale offensive. And obviously, some people on the pro-Russian side and even on the unbiased side say they think this is a trick by the Russians to get the Ukrainians to feel comfortable in this region, and then to attack or have the Ukrainians attack and annihilate them. I am not so sure about that. When the Kharkiv counteroffensive first started, people were saying it was a trick. Kherson looked like a trick. Why would Russia abandon this huge city without a fight? But it wasn't. So I don't think it's a trick. I think the thing is that Kherson, the Oblast, is very unfortified. It has very low quality Russian troops here because obviously Russia's focus is going to be on Donetsk and Zaporizhia front, and other fronts, Luhansk. So they're not going to be so focused on Kherson, and they weren't because of the Dnieper River. That should stop the Ukrainians. Obviously, it has not, and that was poor planning on the Russians' part, and I think they are going to suffer because of this. Moving on to Robotine, we've got tiny advancements from the Ukrainian sides. On the 6th, Ukraine, in my opinion, is just trying to keep Robotine as well protected before a Russian counterattack. And I think Ukraine has completely given up on their ideas of going to Tokmak. I think that's insane for them to actually think they can do it by the end of the year, or going to Melitopol especially. Now, there are all reports of Ukraine mass buildup over here and them trying to attack Kopene and this area over here, this village over here, to broaden their front for next spring. Everybody knows by now this is going to be a long war. The Ukrainian counteroffensive basically said that Ukraine's not going to have an easy victory, and the fighting around Avdiivka shows that the Russians are not just going to have an easy, quick victory either. So, also the Ukrainians on the 5th of November managed to capture some fields. It's very small gains from both sides. Now moving on to Avdiivka. Russian shelling. There was geolocated footage posted by Russians of them shelling Ukrainians at this bridge area. So obviously, and this was today, so obviously this is no longer under Russian control. Probably in the gray zone. I wouldn't say it's 100% under Ukrainian control. We were talking about a counterattack happening from here to Pisky. The problem was that it's so small an area. Ukraine is not going to be able to be flexible in these regions, in this area. So now it looks like Ukraine is building up troops over here to do a counteroffensive into Novobakhmutke, and basically to collapse the Russian front. And if they can do this successfully, they will completely obliterate all Russian dreams of Avdiivka being captured. Obviously, just because Ukraine is planning to do it, or there are rumors about Ukraine planning to do it, does not mean it's going to be successful. So the Russians did on the 5th manage to capture some of these fields here, and what the Russians are basically trying to do in Bakhmut, they are trying to put pressure on the northern area to keep the Ukrainians from putting pressure on the southern area, because the Ukrainians are slowly but surely gaining ground. In the Kupiansk area, there are literally no changes to the map. We've discussed this on a previous video. On the 1st of November, Russia did manage to capture this area. However, besides that, there have been no gains. Anyway, that's basically it for today's update, guys. Make sure to like this video, subscribe, join the Fact Army. Again, YouTube, I do not condone violence or killing of any kind. I'm simply reporting on what's going on in this unfortunate conflict. Thanks.